Okay, good afternoon, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, we are going to take you through some resources for getting your business online. And so, me and my colleague, Taylor Kennedy, I'm Julia Montgomery, we're just going to basically provide some resources that you may or may not have already been introduced to, and hopefully provide some links and some access to allow you to do your own research or conduct your own analysis on your own time as we work through these trying times in the coronavirus COVID-19 related world, as we're all trying to pivot and evolve to meet the needs of our customers. It's more paramount than ever to go ahead and try to get our businesses up and online and running as quickly as possible. And so hopefully you'll get some good information today during our presentation. Taylor, if you want to go to the next slide. Just some general housekeeping items. Make sure that you keep your camera off for us. And then if you have any questions during the course of the presentation, go ahead and type those into that question function in the sidebar over there. Not the chat function, the questions function. And what we'll do is we'll get back to those at the end of the presentation once we're through getting through all of our content. If there's more questions than time allows, we will do our best to get back to you in a timely fashion via email or via phone. As always, all of our services here at the SBDC, our consulting services, are no cost. And so if you have any further questions after this presentation, you're welcome to register for consulting for a one-on-one meeting between myself or Taylor or any of our other consultants. At the end of the presentation, we'll send you a copy of the PowerPoint that we're going to review today. So just letting you guys know that before we go ahead and get started. And then we'll also be sending you a survey. And if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and filling that out. It should be coming just as soon as the presentation's over. It doesn't take, I mean, it's like a 2-minute survey. If you would go ahead and fill that out. That's how we know that we're giving you engaging content and how you respond and give us feedback to what you might like to see in the future. All right, next slide. Okay, so just a little bit about me. Again, my name is Julia Montgomery, and of course, as you can see, this presentation is being brought to you by the SBDC at UNF. I work for the SBDC at UNF. I'm the International Trade Specialist for this region, which may seem like a kind of an odd niche for someone that's working to present a virtual business presentation. But in my research for clients, I work on helping them get ready for export markets and working with them to build export strategies. And in doing that, I usually analyze my clients' websites with them and provide suggestions on how they might improve what they currently have for their websites and their social media websites as well. So some of my suggestions are domestic centered, and some of them are both domestic and global centered, meaning that you may do well to use a tool or resource that I'm going to suggest for your domestic audience, but it likely also has international applications, and you can likely also get international customers from many of the resources that I'll be covering today. I also am on the board for the National Association of Small Business International Trade Educators, which is a very long organization name. It's NASBITE for short. I am the social media task team lead for that organization, and I'm also on the marketing committee for the Central North Florida District Export Council. So I do a lot of social media digital marketing assistance for the various organizations and associations that I work with, as well as my clients. And that's just some specific background information to the type of content that we're going to talk about today. And from here on, my colleague Taylor is going to take off and give you some background about himself and start our presentation.
All right, Julia, thank you very much for that warm welcome. As Julia mentioned, my name is Taylor Kennedy. I'm a consultant at the SBDC, and I specialize in online related topics, so websites, social media, using other e-commerce platforms. A little bit kind of about me is I'm a founder of a business called Rent a College Kid, or AKA RAC. I focused on small and odd jobs, pretty much things that you would hire a college kid for that a lot of people didn't have around. So it worked out really well. People were able to get their honey-do list done while also supporting a local college kid. The business went so well that my wife actually started Rent a College Kid cleaning. So her and I would actually kind of be what we would call the dream team. We would come in and she would do the inside of the house and cleaning, and I would be outside doing, you know, just kind of some yard work or just other projects that were needed to be done. I also manage the online presence for a department at UNF called the Center for Instruction and Research Technology, which is a mouthful, so it was called CERT for short. And there I manage the website, the Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram were the main platforms that we focused on. And within those first 2 months of managing those, we were able to increase our followers by 50%, which was pretty good, as there wasn't a ton of online presence at first, but by the end of it, we had a lot more following and getting a lot more engagement, which is what you want on a social media platform. And then also just to kind of give you a heads up, I do have a 2-year-old running around. I'm working from home here, so you may hear her in the background, just to give you a little bit of a heads up on that. So to kind of give you a little bit of the agenda of what we're going to go through today, we're going to talk about some of the top website platforms to use for your business. We're going to talk about some SEO tips, which stands for search engine optimization for you that aren't familiar with the SEO. We're going to talk about some Google tools and resources that are available. We're then going to talk about some of the social media platforms and kind of what to expect with each platform, maybe what demographic goes into those. And then we're going to talk about some additional e-commerce platforms that you can use to sell some of your products. And then at the end, we'll have a Q&A. So let's go ahead and jump right into this website platforms. And there's 3 main ones that we typically recommend here. And there's others that are great as well. But the ones that we tend to work with a lot and that we've seen good results with are Squarespace, Shopify, and WordPress. And they all have their pros and cons of each one. There's not an end-all be-all that is the best. So for Squarespace, it's great for any products that you're going to be selling that's going to be under 100 products in general. It's got an intuitive interface, and it's great for SEO. Shopify is really good if you're going to offer over 100 products. And one thing that is really great about Shopify, and that some of the others do as well, but they offer a lot of different kind of payment options. And I'm going to show you why in a little bit, why that is so important. And then WordPress. Most websites out there, not necessarily just business-wise, but just websites in general, use WordPress. And the reason for it is because it's so customizable. You can do pretty much anything and everything you want to do to it. The thing about WordPress is it's very technical. So most of the time you won't find a business owner unless they're hiring it out using WordPress themselves. They may be using Shopify or Squarespace, where it's a little bit more intuitive on building the site yourself. It's got a lot of click and drag and just a little bit easier to use versus WordPress, which is where you have to do a lot of coding involved. One of the other good things about WordPress is there's tons of plugins available for it, which I'm going to talk to you a little bit about plugins here in a minute as well. So let's talk about online payment options. And that was one thing that I mentioned back on the last slide here. And 70% of consumers will abandon a cart if the checkout process poses too many barriers, or they're also if a customer doesn't necessarily feel that the options that you have available are what they want to use, they'll abandon the cart as well. So something that is really important to do is offer as many different payment options as possible, because everyone has their preferred way of paying. Some people like to use PayPal, some like to use American Express, or some like to use Apple Pay. So having those different options makes the customer feel a lot more comfortable to check out, because they know the payment option is secure. They're not necessarily worried about that their card information is going to get stolen because they purchased something off this website. So having these different options really makes it better for the customer when they go to checkout. It gives them that sense of security. So let's talk about plugins a little bit. Plugins are really cool because it can add a lot to your site. There's social media account plugins to where you can have, if you have Instagram as one of your accounts that you use, you can have the feed coming into your website. So, you know, they could see, maybe if you own a restaurant, customers can go right to the gallery tab on your website and see that Instagram feed coming in. There's also plugins for motivation and triggers, and you can kind of see one of the ones right here with the Dwight sticker, if you're familiar with The Office. This is on a website that I was visiting, that it would pop up on the left corner showing that Megan in Portland purchased this about a month ago. And this was just the one that I took a screenshot. There was other ones that were just within hours. And that's really cool because it can make the customer feel that other customers are purchasing from this website, which makes them feel a little bit more comfortable to buy. There's also plugins for SEO that can enhance maybe the keywords that you're using, or maybe enhance the description or the titles. And there's all kinds of plugins for SEO. There's also different plugins for analytics. And I know most people use Google Analytics, or maybe your web host has their own analytics built in. But there's other analytics that go even further in depth, or maybe just in a different design that you like to see. A lot of the plugins can be free, or they can be low cost. I have another client who is using a few plugins on their website, and they were like, I think $8 a month or something like that. Very, very low cost. But what it brought to his website was really cool. It can also improve the functionality of your website. And this can be through the checkout process, or it can just be maybe the designs, or the triggers, or whatever it may be. It can enhance those functionalities. And then most plugins integrate with website builders. So there's some that are specific for WordPress. There's some that are specific for Shopify. But most plugins either have one for each version, or you can find them on the web host's website as well. And I did add a link to the top 15 plugins of 2020, which I think you'll find very interesting. One of them was actually what's called Proof here, which is the Dwight sticker plugin here. And once you get this presentation, you can click that link and you can go and check out those different plugins. And I wouldn't stop there. I would also look around and see some of the other plugins, and feel free, like Julia said, to request a consultation with one of us, and we'd be happy to sit down and go through some of them with you to find out what may best fit your website. So I wanted to give a few SEO tips here, because this can really make or break a website. And the first thing I put up here, what I think is the most important, is content. Your content has got to be very, very rich. You got to be hitting some of those keywords or key phrases that people are looking for. And if your content is rich and in depth, then you'll pop up on Google. Now, SEO typically takes 6 months to a year to really get that full effect in there. But once it does, it can really help you. And something else that can help is blogging. And blogging also helps with the content, because you can research some of those top questions, or those top hot topics in your industry, and blog about them. I know a company that blogged about why their second story was hot, and why their AC wasn't cooling it, and that actually did really well for them. It brings a lot of people to their site, because a lot of people have second stories and wondering why it's so hot up there. And blogging about those types of questions brings people to your site, which Then also the more traffic that you have to your site, Google says, oh, this must be a very relevant page. Let's put it, up at a higher ranking. And I'm not sure if you know, but Google's all about the user experience. They want to return the best search result to the user to ensure that they are getting that question answered within the first page of results that they have. Metadata. Now, this is one thing that a lot of people don't know about. This is kind of what's in the background. It's what your page title is in the description. It tells Google or whoever's looking at it about exactly what the entire page is about in the description. You want to have probably under, I would say, about 100 characters, which sometimes can be difficult. So if you go over a little bit, that's okay, but the shorter and more descriptive that you can have it, the better off it is. Because when you're on Google and you search and you kind of see that little paragraph underneath and it's not very long and sometimes has the ... that's what the description is. And that's why I said you want to keep it to under 100 characters if you can, because you want to make sure that important content or that search result is displaying what the actual searcher is looking for. Page load speed. Now, this is something that is becoming bigger and bigger and more important for search results. Page load speed is one of those things that it wasn't a huge back in the day, but now as we get a little bit older and technology gets more advanced, load speed is huge. And Google says you really need to be around 2.5 seconds on a load speed. Now, I've seen other website developers and things like that say under 5 seconds, because trying to get to 2.5 seconds can be very difficult. So in the end, you want to be as fast as you can, and there are things you can do to actually speed up your page's load speed, and we can talk about that here in a little bit as well. So keywords and file names, and this is for if you're uploading images. You don't want it just to say image 00123. You want it to be actually what the picture is of, because Google can actually read those. Even though when you upload it, you don't think so, Google can actually read that, and that can be part of SEO as well. And then incorporating media like video and images are very important to have in there, because one, it breaks up the text a little bit, but two, it can be very descriptive in the description itself, but also, people enjoy looking at videos and pictures and can keep people on your page even longer, which can help with search results as well. And then link building. And what I mean by link building is having a link to your site on another website, or maybe you vice versa. And if you have other people in your industry that maybe you guys can trade off links, a link to your site and a link to their site that can help each other. This can be very important, because the better off, or the more links that your website appears on other pages, the more important Google says that your web page is, because you must have really good content, because these other pages or these other sites are linking to you. And a couple SEO resources that I always like to recommend is Neil Patel. He is a guru at SEO. He has a blog that I highly recommend looking through or subscribing to. And then there's Greg Gifford, who offers a free SEO course. It's like kind of the basics and getting started, and can give you some really great information through SEMrush Academy. And that's a free course. It doesn't cost you anything. I'm actually going to be taking it myself here in the next month or so. So if you do join in, let me know. Maybe we can discuss it a little bit further. So I want to talk to you a little bit about Google and some of the tools that are available. The first thing I want to talk about is Google Trends. And you can see kind of an image up here of Google Trends here. This is just something I took a picture of. And I did donut and donut spelled two different ways. Donut, D-O-N-U-T, and then D-O-U-G-H-N-T. And I might have spelled that wrong, but trying to do it quickly. But so you can actually see the difference and the search ones, like which one is being searched more and which one is being searched less, which can help you with the way that you spell it on your site. Because you don't want to use the one that is, only getting a couple search results versus one up here that's getting much more. And then this was just for the entire US. You can actually break this down into sub-region data. So for a donut shop, it may not be important for the entire US how they're searching it, because it's more important of how Florida or Jacksonville, Florida is using it and what is being searched. So that's what's really cool about Google Trends, is you can look depending on if your business is, you know, domestic, or if it's just, or if it's, you know, completely global. You can search all of that information on Google Trends. And then it actually gives you related queries. So you can see maybe that people are searching for, you know, donut holes, or maybe they're searching for, you know, bear claws or something like that. So you can actually see some of the other searches that are going on inside of Google Trends that can help you with either maybe doing blog topics, or, you know, just actual words that you have on your page itself. And then you can compare search terms, which is kind of what I showed you right here. So you can put in 2 different types of donut spellings, or you could actually compare to 2 different other types of just words in general, just to see what the searches are, and figure out if you may need to do a blog on this month, or do a blog on that this month. You know, you can kind of compare that out. And then Google My Business. So Google My Business is something that's extremely important to have, especially for local businesses. It's best for local business because what Google My Business is, if you know, when you search for SBDC, and you'll see it pop up on the right side of your Google search with the name and the phone number and the hours of operation. That's what Google My Business is. It's really easy to set up and update, and I tend to recommend updating it, you know, at least weekly, maybe with just some images, or maybe if you're writing your blog or whatever, you can put all that information into Google My Business. Google My Business is another free SEO tool that you can set up. Doesn't cost you anything. It's also is a great way to connect with customers, because, as you know, a lot of people go on and read reviews about, you know, a specific business, and see how others have had experience there. So what's great about it is when people leave reviews, or customers leave reviews, you can actually go in and respond to those reviews, just like you can on Facebook. It's a great way to kind of thank people, or, you know, maybe if someone didn't have the best, you know, experience, then you can kind of address that on there publicly, and then I recommend taking, you know, it offline after that point. But in the end, Google My Business is a great tool to have. And you can download the app as well. So a couple other Google tools that are available is Google Ads. This one's really easy to set up as well, and it integrates right in with Google My Business. When you sign into your Google My Business account, there is a tab for Google Ads, and you can easily just go in and set them up. I think it's like 3 or 4 steps. You can choose, you know, the location, you can choose the wording, and Google actually helps you build the ad and tell you, you know, one, how much it's going to maybe cost you, you know, as Google charges of what's called a cost per click. So every time somebody clicks on that Google ad, they will, you know, you get charged for it. So you can set a budget on it. But what's great about it as well is then you can look at the analytics on it and see, you know, was this ad effective? And something I typically recommend with Google Ads is creating a few of them and running them all together with low budgets at first, of course. So that way you can kind of see which one is the most effective, or maybe none of them are effective and you need to go back to the drawing board, or maybe all of them are doing great and you want to keep running them all with higher budgets. So it's something I definitely recommend, and it's something we can help you with as well. Google Analytics, this tool here is super, super cool, because it gives you probably the most in-depth data that I've ever seen from an analytical tool. And there's some of it that you'll probably look at and be like, I don't understand that. But then there's some things that you're going to look at and be like, wow, this is really good information. I kind of know more about my target audience, or who's visiting my site. You can create campaigns in Google Analytics as well. So you can kind of better target or find out, you know, how to get a hold of that actual target market. And then there's a link here to Google Analytics Academy. And this is a tool that you can go in, and it's videos on how to use Google Analytics. Something I really liked about it is that it gives you hands-on practice. So it actually puts you in kind of a demo environment and allows you to kind of play around, and it helps you, if you can't find where to click, it'll kind of eventually highlight it for you. So you do learn it. It gives you kind of that muscle memory. Google Search Console. This is great because you can optimize your content. Google helps you optimize the content that you have on your site to ensure that it is working what's best for Google search results. You can also submit sitemaps and URLs for crawling. So maybe if you add a new page, or if you completely redo, a page and change the content on 100%, it can take a while for Google to crawl that, for it to show up on the search results that it's actually changed in that page title and description that we talked about earlier. So if you have it connected with Google Search Console, you can actually minimize that wait time and have it crawl it sooner. So that way, as people are searching for those maybe new titles or new, results that you have that page all based on, that they can go in and actually find it sooner. And these are just a few resources that I used as I did some of the research. So once you get this website or get this presentation, feel free to go in and check some of them out. So I'm actually going to turn it over to Julia now.
All right, can you hear me, Taylor?
I can. You sound great.
Okay. Thank you. I am going to make sure that you guys can see my screen here. Do you see the social media page?
I do. The common platforms?
Uh-huh.
That's it.
Okay. Fantastic. Oh, there we go.
Swerve. I love it.
All right. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about using your social media platforms for online business, as well as some of the online stores, some of the major online e-commerce sites. And these are all just kind of fall in line with what Taylor was talking about earlier, ways to expand your online presence, ways to grab more followers, ways to get more of your business out there in the World Wide Web, so that you can do more business via the internet. And thank you, Taylor, for the great content previously. That was wonderful. So here we have our sort of social media pyramid. And these are the big six here. This is Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and Pinterest. So Facebook reigns supreme. And it is obviously one, really the first major social networking site. I mean, I am probably aging myself, but before Facebook there was MySpace, but really Facebook hit the college scene in a big way and really didn't look back. And it's basically, its original design was to connect college students, and now it is a connector for family and friends. And it is just a huge, huge resource. You can do a lot with Facebook. It really is kind of the number one social media site for small business users. Excuse me. Next, we have Instagram, which is basically visuals. It's photographs and videos. Then we have LinkedIn, which is a professional networking site. And I'm going to do a deeper dive into these three in the coming slides. We also have YouTube, which is, as you guys know, sharing video media. Twitter, which is it's basically microblogging. It's online texting, and it's where the hashtag was really originally born. And then Pinterest, which is sharing information across different types of boards, and these are like crafts, DIY type things. But for the sake of time in today's presentation, we're just going to focus on these top three. Okay. So 1.62 billion users visit Facebook every day, which is just astronomical. It outpaces all the other social media sites by, I mean, just leaps and bounds. It's huge. And while it might seem like um, some of the feedback regarding Facebook usage has said, oh, it's trending down, other social media sites are on the way up, Facebook's irrelevant now. That's just really not true. The demographic of Facebook has changed a little bit, but it is still a huge resource to SMEs and large businesses alike. So let's see, yeah, among active US Facebook users, 74% use the site every single day. So it's getting consistent traffic from the same users every single day. 88% of Facebook users are on the platform to stay in contact with family and friends. Um, I can attest to this personally. I'm from a very small town in Arkansas. I have no idea what's going on outside of that town, um, with the exception of Facebook. Literally the other day, someone posted a photo a workplace accident, and I texted my dad, what happened? And he's like, how do you know this? And I'm just, well, Facebook. It's here to stay, and it's it's letting me know what's going on in McGee. So still a very, very useful tool. Really great at keeping us in touch with each other. No longer do you have to make long distance calls. You can do it literally with the touch of a button on your smartphone. Very friendly to mobile resources. Most of the traffic occurs on Wednesday and Thursday. So whenever you are making decisions about when to post or when to release any type of engaging content, that's a little tip for you there. Generally between the times of 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. are the best times to post on Facebook, so it's actually pretty specific. It does fluctuate depending upon your audience and your industry, so you might find that if you're in a sort of a niche industry, that doesn't fit the status quo, but generally starting out, I would choose those 2 days. Let's see, in 2020, the average daily time on Facebook is anticipated to remain flat. That was from a study that was published before COVID-19. And so it's really going to be interesting to see what social media usage trends look like once we get on the other side of this, because everybody has pretty much been turned on their heads. Things that were trending before are no longer trending. And we're really seeing some outlier activity with our social media sites and digital marketing. And then, of course, Facebook Stories has 300 million active users, which is a very valuable tool, but a lot of people don't really know how the Facebook feed works. So if you're going to get into Facebook and you're going to start using Facebook regularly, I would recommend that you do some research on how exactly the platform is working and what it's showing to your potential clients. And I'm going to show you where you can find that information. So just some quick demographics about who's using Facebook. Around 7 in 10 US adults, about 69% use Facebook, which is astronomical. 62% of online seniors aged 65 and up are on Facebook, and 62% are between the ages of 50 and 64. And so that's online seniors. That's not all seniors, obviously, if that number seems a little wonky to you. 84% of online users are of age 18 to 29, so there's still a huge demographic there, and then 72% are between 30 and 49. So that's still pretty much your bread and butter. Though, obviously the 65 plus is the fastest growing age group on Facebook. And the reason for that is because you're seeing a lot of parents and grandparents getting on Facebook so that they can connect with their children and grandchildren. Let's see. Most users are actually outside the North America. I believe it's 90% are outside of the US. So using Facebook actually presents a great opportunity to find and connect with new relationships or new clients outside of the US and Canada. And then because the demographic trends to be a little older, you've got a majority of high income earners using Facebook for these family and friend connections. So you've really got a rich target market here. You've got a rich source of clients here for targeting potential customers for business. All right, let's talk a little bit about ads. So one really great thing about Facebook is it releases a quarterly earnings report. So you can stay up to date regarding the value of Facebook marketing and the trends regarding the types of marketing available. Facebook does a great job of being mobile and having a very engaging and reactive mobile website or mobile site. The application is most pervasively used over desktop, of course. We did see in 2019 a decrease in marketing prices. And again, I'm anxious to see what 2020 is going to look like. I anticipate that as more people are jumping online and using Facebook as an avenue to get potential business, we'll probably see an increase as a result of that competitive field increasing. The average cost per click for a Facebook ad is $172. And I'm going to show you a quick little graphic here that kind of shows you the spread. So this is the average cost per click across industry sectors. And you can see here that finance and insurance is the most expensive at $377. And then you have some of our lower ones, which is travel and hospitality at 63 cents. And so this is a good indicator of the potential competition in those fields. So the more people that are advertising within these industry sectors are driving up the cost per click. And so you can get a good idea of who is advertising on Facebook. And you can actually sort of plan for what you might need to pay to be a competitive advertiser on Facebook as well. Okay, just some quick tidbits for doing business on Facebook. You have to have, you need to set up a page, not a profile. So what that means is, though you do have to have a profile to get a business page, you don't need to set up your business as a Facebook profile. So don't go in and create a business profile like you would if you were, rebuilding your personal profile. The reason for that is because your profile doesn't offer you the amount of, or the variation of resources that a business page will. And also because profiles are limited by the number of friends that you can have or the number of followers you can have. You can only have 5,000. And while that seems probably like a big number, there have been cases in the past where people have built their business profiles incorrectly, hit that cap, and then were forced to either, transfer or, had to go through a really messy process of having to rebuild their business page. So first and foremost, start off with that business page. Make sure it is complete. And what I mean by that is don't just build your page, throw up some generic photo, and just kind of check back every once in a while to see if there's been any interaction. The more complete your page is, the more interest your potential clients are going to have in it. And that means filling out the about section, making sure that your hours are up to date. A huge number of people go to the internet to check out your availability and your hours. So you want to have that readily available. Not only is it beneficial for making or for opening up your business to access to potential clients, but it's also showing clients that you are you're responsible. You're showing good social media hygiene, and you're completing your profile page in a way that's beneficial to them. Though organic posts are great, and you absolutely should know and should learn how to properly structure a post, be prepared to pay for some ad space. Organic posts every year return less and less conversions. And that's just because the field is very competitive now. So Whenever I provide this link to, the website that's going to show you kind of how to get started on Facebook, make sure that you read about ad space and the options that are available to you. Obviously, the goal is to gain followers and to rack up engagements, people that are liking your content, people that are commenting on your content. You also have to play the game. You have to collaborate, you have to network, you have to share. So Facebook is not just something that you can go on and post things about your business only and expect to get a whole lot of interaction. The network really thrives on sharing and interacting. So that means if you come across another business, maybe not a competitor, but another business that's doing something in your industry that's really interesting, you can post maybe an article about that business. You're basically building goodwill among your peers on this social media site, and they in turn will do the same. So it's very reciprocal. And then there's of course an e-commerce option. So for those of you that are selling products, and usually particular types of products, you can actually sell straight through Facebook using the Facebook catalog. And so the Facebook catalog usually interacts seamlessly with your current e-commerce platform, and allows you to basically upload your product offering from your product platform on your website or your website platform to Facebook. And if you don't have a website platform that it does interact with, well, you can actually upload your products and prices separately via regular upload process. But the cool thing about the Facebook catalog is that it interacts pretty well seamlessly with other Facebook products. And so you can use it on both Facebook and Instagram and across the messaging platforms that Facebook owns, which is Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp. So two resources that I'd like to point you to is the Facebook for Business, which is a really cool resource for small businesses. It provides tools and tips and some resources for best practices in posting and best practices in creating ads. And then there's also Facebook Blueprint, which is a website that allows you to do some more in-depth training. It actually provides certification type training. So if you have someone on your staff that you really want to get up to speed on Facebook because you want to use Facebook pretty heavily for your social media marketing, Facebook Blueprint is a really good way to go. And the modules that are in the curriculum are great. They're short. You can get through them quickly. You can pause. You can go go walk your dog, come back. They're very, very helpful. And they're structured in a way that those of us that are really busy with a million other things can really make use of. Okay, Instagram. And I strategically put this slide in the middle of this presentation because we're getting, or at the end of this presentation, because we're getting kind of long in the tooth here. These are some posts straight from my Instagram, or straight from my Instagram feed. And as you can see, the content is very visual. The text, there's not much emphasis on the text at all. And the photos are generally high quality. The first one is a funny meme about a psycho husband cutting up an avocado in a way that I've never seen. I don't even know how you do that without a chainsaw. Second one's a cute little cat from Cats of Instagram. And then the third one is actually a business that I follow out of Little Rock, Arkansas. So Instagram's tagline is capture and share the world's moments, which is quite different from Facebook's tagline, which is be connected. Obviously, Instagram is designed to share quality pictures and videos. People follow each other for obvious reasons, but they also follow strangers. So they're following their friends, but they're also following strangers and businesses. As the businesses and the strangers can offer something, whether it be memes or fashion or tips or whatever. It's very visual. So I know one of these businesses that are, or one of these people up here on this. The other two, the Tinder blog and Cats of Instagram, I strictly follow for entertainment value only. top metric that Instagram has over Facebook is actually engagement. So one study reported that brands see a median engagement rate of 0.09% per Facebook post in comparison to a 1.6% median engagement rate per post on Instagram. And that's a pretty sizable difference. So Facebook is largely informational. You can find things out about a company through its Facebook page, like we talked about business hours or addresses. But Instagram is really about capturing and snapshotting specific moments. People don't come to Instagram to find out about your business's hours or to see if their friends have been to your store. They're using Instagram to engage, and that's what makes it so effective for building a brand and gaining popularity. All right. So as we've previously established, Instagram is really sort of the new kid on the block, though it is, similar to Facebook, and it is owned by Facebook, by the way. It definitely has significant differences. Just some quick statistics here. Over 1 billion monthly active users, over 500 million daily active users, over 50 billion photos shared to date. That's a ton. That is a ton of photographs. And then approximately 4.2 billion likes per day, so lots of interaction there. And then over 100 million photos and videos uploaded every day. And it's also one of the fastest growing networks. So if you haven't considered Instagram, and you have a business, you ought to offer a product, or you're part of an organization that you feel like you can get some really rich visuals out of, maybe it's right for you. But let's look at the demographics. So you can see here that the age demographic skews quite a bit younger. It's generally thought of as a 30 and under social media site. But I found that my friends who are well into their 40s use Instagram pretty much daily. 120.7 million Instagram users are from the United States. 37% of US adults use Instagram. That's a pretty heavy demographic. Obviously, the US has the most number of users. It doesn't have quite the reach that Facebook has internationally yet. 89% of users are outside of the US. And so what that's saying is 11% are in the US, and then the other 89% are spread around the globe. But it's most concentrated in the United States. And then 6 out of 10 online adults have Instagram accounts. And then among global users, 30% are aged between 18 and 24 years, and 35% are aged between 25 and 34 years. So if you have a product or service that you think would fit this social media site, and this is the age group that you're generally targeting, maybe this is something that you should look into. Just some quick pointers regarding Instagram ads. You have to have a Facebook page to create a business profile on Instagram. And to create ads, you have to have that business profile. Though the ad cost does depend upon your bidding model, either it's cost per click or cost per impressions. On average, companies pay 20 cents to $2 per click, and $6.70 per 1,000 impressions for Instagram ads. For more information about using Instagram, best practices, potential pricing, you can also go to Instagram for Business, and you can go to Instagram on Facebook Blueprint. Like I said, it's owned by Facebook, so that Facebook Blueprint resource will actually give you a lot of good information for Instagram as well. Now, just very quickly, we have WhatsApp. This is a text and voice messaging app. It's free. But the big thing here, and the reason that I'm bringing this up, is because it is huge internationally. I actually use this to communicate with my international clients. It offers video messaging, group chat options, and if that little icon is on your website, it generally indicates to a potential international client that you are willing to do and conduct international business. So consider WhatsApp as part of your social media repertoire if you are interested in bringing in potential global buyers. Then we have LinkedIn, and one of the reasons that I wanted to include LinkedIn in this presentation is specifically because our networking opportunities are vastly limited right now. There's not a lot of face-to-face meetings going on. We're all, talking to each other virtually, over the phone, via Zoom. So LinkedIn is really kind of, the last bastion of pre-COVID networking opportunities that we have. It is very specific to working professionals. There are over 3 million company pages on LinkedIn, and it's really good resource for people like knowledge workers, service professionals, nonprofits, maybe some industry associations, people who rely on their reputation to build business. So just a few things to consider before going on LinkedIn or engaging in LinkedIn as a potential social media site for business. Keep in mind that your posts need to be professional. So on Instagram and Facebook, where you might share more silly or more entertainment type posts, LinkedIn really needs to be, for the most part, pretty specific to your industry. So we're talking about news releases, press releases, white papers, articles, things like that. Also, make sure that you have a complete profile with a professional headshot. And then you can also upgrade to LinkedIn Premium, which offers some more resources to you. LinkedIn also has a program called Sales Navigator, which is a feed service, which can help your sales reps or help you link to potential leads. And it is a bit pricey though. I think it's like $65 a month, but it provides some pretty specific information and some pretty targeted information about potential buyers. So if you want more information, the link's at the bottom of the slide here. And then we have LinkedIn Marketing Solutions, and the site, the link there is for you to go to, so you can look into what LinkedIn ads might be able to do for you. Personally, I know a lot of clients are using LinkedIn and they're using the free service, and they're getting really good responses out of it. They're getting a lot of really good reviews and results. So I would look in, maybe go to LinkedIn Marketing Solutions to look up best practices for posting on LinkedIn and practice that first and see how effective that strategy is for you. So just real quick, because I'm running out of time here. I know we can technically probably go a little bit over, but I'm going to go as fast as I can. Some best practices in social media, psychology. Think of your audience. Think about what they want before you post. You don't necessarily want to push content onto clients. You want to pull them in with engaging content. So if that's by being funny or providing something interesting, that's really the route you should go. Videos are the gold standard. We're seeing more and more people interacting with video content, particularly if there's captions, because most people watch the videos on silent when they're at work or where they're somewhere where they're not supposed to be watching videos. So that's a good option for you. Make sure you understand the lingo. So whenever you're researching ads, you're going to see things like cost per click, cost per impressions, cost per conversions. And these are just kind of fancy schmancy words for, an impression is when you actually see an ad, and a conversion is when you actually click on an ad, or, make sure that you kind of know that basic nomenclature. Be consistent and up to date with your posting. Make sure you're staying relevant. You're not posting old content. Watch your competitors to see what they're doing. There are also social media management tools such as Hootsuite, Sprout Social, and others that can kind of help you aggregate your social media posts that can be very beneficial to you. And then when in doubt, hire out. A lot of people think of their social media strategy as sort of this ancillary strategy that they can kind of do on the fly when they're, on the bus on the way home, or, when they're in bed, trying to drift off to sleep. It is a very specific marketing strategy. It needs your time, it needs your effort, and it probably needs quite a bit of your investment. So if you don't have that, hire out for it. With your ads, you're going to learn that you have to be flexible. You need to be agile. If something's not working after you've run it for 3 to 4 weeks, change it. See what the results are. You get those analytics in all of those social media sites, and pay attention and make those changes. Hashtags, while originally specific to Twitter, they're used pervasively across all social media sites. Make sure you're setting goals. You can't, if you're not measuring How will you know how successful your strategy is? You may want to create a social content calendar to help you organize your thoughts and help you plan out the type of content that you're going to post. And then consider when to post. Consider auditing yourself periodically to make sure you're on task. Don't skimp on the visuals, so make sure you're paying for professional photographs when you can, and then keep a good mix of organic versus paid ads. So I'm just going to breeze through these. I work with clients almost very frequently on Amazon, because Amazon is a fantastic way to actually engage potential buyers nationally as well as internationally. Um, Probably the top three that I see are Amazon, eBay, and Etsy, but there are others such as Overstock, Zappos, and Walmart. Amazon is the 10-ton gorilla in the room. You can see, I mean, they do 1.9 million in US SMEs, and they did 160 billion in 2019 for SMEs. They said that the average SME grossed 90,000 in revenue on average. And again, some of those additional benefits to getting on Amazon are that you have access to literally the entire world. Amazon has marketplaces in over 16 countries, 14 of which are eligible for third-party sellers, which is what you would be. You can either self-fulfill, or you can use Fulfilled by Amazon, which is where you send your product to Amazon and they take care of the rest. They have a well-established customer base, and you can also engage with some advanced selling options. So to get started, you're going to need to pick either an individual account or a professional account. Personally, I have a current individual account, and I have that specifically so I can access Seller University. Seller University is their main platform for training and best practices for Amazon use, and you can't access it unless you have that seller's account. So an individual account is free. You don't have to pay a monthly fee, but it is 99 cents per sale. And so it's really not a good way to go if you're actually going to be transacting quite a bit of business. If you're going to be transacting business on Amazon, go ahead and opt for that professional account. It's a $40 monthly fee to use that version. And then another resource is the Amazon Small Business Academy. This is a pretty new tool, a pretty new resource. They do webinars relatively frequently about different topics in using Amazon. So how to design your listing, things you need to take into account if you're going to use Facebook Live, or I'm sorry, if you're going to do webinars or online webinars on Amazon. Lots of different things you can do with Amazon, and the Small Business Academy is catered towards small businesses. It is a little bit dry, but there is some really good content there. So if you want to access that, there's the link. And then this is just a snap of Seller University, kind of shows you some of the topics there. It goes through, these are like 3 to 5 minute videos across a variety of topics. eBay is another huge international selling platform. It does a ton of international business. It's actually second to Amazon from domestic platforms. They've been in business a long time. Personally, I think eBay is pretty niche. You would be using eBay for things like if you're selling antiques or collector's items or used items. Pretty specific business model there. You can't really do that on Amazon, but eBay has carved out a really successful niche there. There are people that sell things brand new on eBay. There are people that sell, drop ship items on eBay. But if you were going to take that route, I would probably steer you more toward Amazon. If you have a question about which one might be better for you, you're more than welcome to give me a call or email me, and I'm happy to go over kind of the pros and cons of both. But there is a seller center there, so you can follow that link for additional information about selling on eBay. And then last but not least is Etsy. And when I'm conducting marketing research, Etsy comes up all the time. It actually has a really large international following. People sell on Etsy all over the world. Now, it is specific to handcrafted original items. So these are, this is jewelry, this is sewed items. These are, paper goods. I'm thinking like origami, things that people make in their homes, and it basically has to be handmade by you with one exception. If you have it, you can have it manufactured, but it has to be your original design. So if you've been making earrings for 2 years and you've decided that you need to scale up and you're going to have it manufactured by a third party, that third party has to use your original design, and you can still get away with using Etsy. Some statistics regarding revenue. You can see it operates in 83 countries. 20% of revenue from international sales. So it's really a great tool for those that fit this category. And then there's a link for more information about selling on Etsy. And here are some of the sources I used when I was compiling these statistics and things. Again, you're going to get a copy of this presentation, so you'll have access to all that. And without further ado, I'm going to flip it over to our Q&A. And if you have any questions, go ahead and attack that questions box, and we'd be happy to answer some.
Julia, we do have one question so far, and could you touch on a little bit about what an SME is?
Absolutely. An SME, and pardon me, I mean, we use acronyms constantly in this business. It's just a small or medium-sized enterprise. And so essentially, the SBA defines an SME as, for the most part, anyone with fewer than 500 employees, which I know is seems like a pretty big number of employees, but anybody that falls within that category would be considered an SME for the most part.
Nice. And why we just wait a few minutes to see if any other questions roll in. I'm actually going to go ahead and in the chat feature drop a request to the consulting link, so you don't have to wait for the presentation to come out if you want to go ahead and schedule something.
Sure.
Something I did want to mention is that we do offer reviews or audits on your website, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on Instagram. So if it's something that you are interested in just kind of seeing where you kind of line up, feel free to reach out to us and set up a consultation, and we can kind of go over that with you. We do have a few others that are kind of rolling in now. And let me just see, I'm trying to make mine just a little bit bigger. And then, so it's, we have a question here. It says, it seems like there are many Google tools for the SEO and analytics that might take a lot of time for the novice to master and understand. What suggestions do you have for paying someone that can trust to help with this? So to kind of, and I'll take that question, to kind of answer that, you're right, there are a ton of tools, and it can be, it can take a lot of time to actually learn all this. And it can be expensive, depending on what tools you want to get. Now, if you get like a website developer or someone maybe who's going to run your analytics for you, and who's going to make sure that your pages stay up to date with Google, it can be expensive. But if you don't have the time for it, it is something I would recommend, hiring out. Kind of like what Julia said, when in doubt, hire out, because these things are very important. And it is important to ensure that you're getting in front as many people and ranking as high on Google as you possibly can. So I hope that answers your question. And we do have what's known as the SBRN, or the Small Business Resource Network. And Julia, if you don't mind, could you drop that link in the chat? And you can find some of the vetted businesses that we have here. And what I mean by vetted means the qualifications that we offer, or that we ask for. Those are some of the businesses in the local area that can help you, and you can go through and you can kind of do a price comparison and just see who you think might be your best option. So we had another question, is what is SEO? So SEO is search engine optimization, and there's a lot of factors that go into it. As I showed you a couple of the tips. Now that's not, I hope you understood, that wasn't everything that's part of SEO. There's a ton of items that go into it, but those were some of the top things that Google looks at when they are searching your page or trying to find a search result for a user. So it's search engine optimization. Oh, and I think I see that we have a few already being answered.
Yeah, I accidentally put that in the wrong answer. I'm sending it to the chat.
Okay, no worries.
There we go.
Perfect.
So there's a link to the SBRN, the Small Business Resource Network.
Thank
Feel
you.
free to take a look at that.
Yep, and the one before it was the request for consulting link. And like I said, we can help you with a variety of things, everything from government contracting to website help to international trade. There's pretty much anything you can think of, we can help you with, and it's all no cost. So definitely feel free to take advantage of it, as we'd love to help you and help you build your business, especially at times like this. And we'll just give it.
Any other questions?
Yeah, just waiting to see if there's a couple more questions.
I'm not seeing anything, but as you guys know, you're going to get a copy of this presentation. You have the link to the consulting request there, so feel free to reach out. And I don't have anything else to add. Taylor?
No, and just thank you guys for joining and taking the time out of your day to join us with this. You will have the survey that does come out. So if you don't mind taking the time just to fill that out, it really helps us and gives us feedback on these presentations to make sure that they are as rich as possible for you.
Thank you, guys.
Another question that came in says, do you assist with reviewing a website? And yes, we do. So we do have a full-blown, and actually one of our consultants who was on here, Jody, actually developed this very in-depth document that really goes through pretty much every part of your website and make sure you're kind of checking the boxes to ensure that you are having, that content, that needs to be on your website, to make sure that your links are in proper places, meaning your social media links. So definitely, that is something we definitely do. So please definitely just fill out that request for consulting, or, just reach out. You got Julia and my email here that we can answer some of those questions more in depth for you, and we could set up a consultation too.
Anybody else? I'm not seeing anything. All right, going once, going twice. All right, sold. So we're gonna go ahead and shut her down. Again, just get back to us if you have any additional questions. Thank you guys so much for your time. Hope everybody stays nice and dry out there. The sky just busted open here. I can barely hear you guys. So
and healthy.
Yeah. And thank you so much. So we'll be back with you with some other content soon.
All right, thank you everybody. Have a great day.